Let's go back to the story regarding the protests in Syria, where, of course, there's been a number of weeks of protests ongoing there. Began over the cost of living crisis, you could put it that way, rising inflation, people finding it hard to buy the basics to live. But this is now transformed into a protest calling for Bashar al-Assad to go. And, of course, Syrian people know from 2011 that that can be a very dangerous situation indeed. We're joined now by Celine Kassem for more on this one. Celine, thank you very much for joining us. What is your take on the situation as it stands right now in Syria?
Hello, thank you so much for having me on. I think that what we're witnessing right now, and it's almost the second week of these protests happening, not just in the area of Sweda, but actually all over, in Daraa and Deir ez-Zor, in multiple regions. They've also come out in support of these protests in Sweda. I think that it is a reignition of our noble revolution, and these people have nothing else left to lose. They've lost everything. There's no, there's no food. There's no, basic living necessities that these people should have. They're going out in the street, and now they're not just asking for reforms. They're asking for the removal of this regime, and they know what happened when they tried that before. So that just shows how brave and noble these people are to go out and protest and ask for freedom and dignity when they know what this regime is capable of, really.
Clearly, as you've just said, there is that risk of those kind of recriminations, and the security forces in Syria have a brutal reputation. Do you have any sense that people are putting themselves at risk right now in what is happening? Are you getting any reports back of people being arrested, perhaps beaten?
Yeah, I mean, there was a bunch of activists that came out from the coast of where Bashar Assad is from, and they're known to be huge supporters of the regime. So there was people that came out from the coast supporting these protests and talking online. We know for a fact that they have been arrested already. So they're being arrested, and then no one is hearing from them. And tomorrow is the International Day for Enforced Disappearance. I mean, we see this over and over again in Syria, and the numbers are over 100,000 of disappeared people. And now this is just going to be another whole round of that if the regime gets its hand on these people.
Celine, there was the call from 2011, the back end of the Arab Spring for Assad to go, a popular uprising. And of course, we know it's all been very well documented how that turned out. And most of the certain areas of Syria destroyed in the wake of that. It's been a terrible, terrible decade plus for the people of Syria. Is there a sense that what is happening now could lead to any kind of change, or at least any kind of compromise, or any kind of improvement in their lifestyle?
I mean, I think that the world now needs to acknowledge that, we've tried to shut these people off. We've tried normalizing with the regime. We've tried various different, things to get a hold of this crisis. But, these people are once again coming out. And there was always a revolution of Syria. But, there was the normalization, and there was making it, the tourists coming into Syria and making it seem like Syria is back to normal and back to rainbows and butterflies. But that's just not the reality. People are still being tortured, detained, killed in Idlib. We write down all these attacks that happened by Russia and Assad. Almost every single day, the northwest region of Syria gets bombarded, and Syria is not safe. So what now needs to be done by the international community and by us as Syrians is to come together and come up with a solution. And that should involve the UN Resolution 2254, which the people on the ground are holding signs of. And they have hope in that.
Celine Kassem, Media Executive of the Syrian Emergency Task Force, thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us that very frank assessment of the situation. And we will continue to cover all developments on that situation in Syria. Celine, thank you once again for joining us here on France 24.